Yeah.
All right, we are recording. So welcome, everybody. Ben.
Yeah, well, yes. Thank you very much, Mike. Quick pass off to me there. I've literally come back from an event we had down in London. We had that last night. I just had a 7-hour drive back home this morning. So I've literally just gotten in through the door. It was a fantastic event. Small number, still growing. I think I talked about this meeting that we do at the Launch Partner Luncheon in San Antonio. And I was really pleased to have Bernadette join us as a guest speaker. And just wonderfully inspirational message that she shared. I wanted just to share a thought on one of the outcomes. I've not had the chance to even give feedback to Bernadette yet because I've either been in post-meeting meetings or traveling, getting back. But the knock-on effect that she had was really quite tremendous for this little band of newly developing leaders. And it's worthwhile considering the application here. She repeated, for those of you that weren't, I think everyone here was at the event in San Antonio, so we've all heard the message. But one of her key messages that she shared was, you have to do it yourself, but you cannot do it alone. Yeah, and I really love that message. Oh, Bernadette, I'm getting feedback behind your back. I hope you don't mind. It's all good. It's all good. And that really struck a chord with people, but what also struck the chord was this reference to vision that people buy the dreamer, believe the dreamer before they believe the dream. And that really struck a chord because many of us will have our aspirations. We talk about our whys, but don't always jump too much into, and how much of a conviction do I have in my own why? I'm not sure if that makes sense or not, but we can have a compelling reason, but how much do we believe in it? I sometimes refer to these as counterfeits. If we don't have a real reason, but it sounds good. I was doing some mentoring a little while back, and I was asking the question to the group, what's your why? And one of the ladies said, I want to be able to look after my parents in their old age. That sounded fantastic, a great cause. But I also noticed that from my previous conversations, she didn't really have a close connection with her parents. And when they did come over to visit, it was always a headache and a hassle for her. Not something that she wanted to really look forward to. So I thought that was interesting that was her why. But it sounded good, yeah? And someone else said, well, I want to be able to provide for my children. My daughter's getting married, and her in-laws are very affluent, and they can give her X, Y, and Z, and we can't do that yet. We want to go, that's kind of more competition. That's not going to keep you awake at night either. These were counterfeits and not necessarily things that would keep them going. But what I did notice was, as a result of the meetings that we were having, one lady raised her hand and she said, Ben, from last month's meeting, I was inspired to pick up the phone and talk more. And she said, and so that's what I did. And she said, and as a result of that, I doubled my PV. A lower ranking distributor, she doesn't have a large group, but that essentially doubled her check. Just from coming to one of the meetings, paying attention, getting inspired from the message, and then going out and doing something straight away. Another one said, I got inspired as well by the message that we were talking about. And as a result of that, I went away, my husband and I, and she said, and we visualized we're going to sell 10 waterfalls personally this month. And she said at 10:30 on the 31st of the month, we got our 10th order come through, and we placed the order. She said, when you visualize it, it happens. You know, and we talk about this a lot, don't we? But we've got to believe in what we're visualizing. And, you know, when Bernadette said that people believe the dreamer before the dream, that also applies to us. We have to hold the mirror up to ourselves there a little bit on that one. Do we believe the dreamer when that mirror is showing our own reflection? I share this because the consequence kind of kept on going of this conversation of visualizing and taking action, coming to the meetings, getting inspired, visualizing, taking action, and getting results, and getting that growth from month to month. And what they then got inspired by was I shared this comment that I passed on to each of you in San Antonio about I'd love to have a bigger event in London sometime in 2018. And everyone was like, oh, that, you shared that, you said that, what did they say? What did they say? And I said, they were really excited. They liked the idea. And I said, but I'd like you guys to be the hosts and hostesses, to be a part of this. We're going to use this next 12 months to build ourselves and to become something, so that when we can put on a meeting like this, that we've really evolved and developed and become, and we can be great hosts and hostesses to our friends that come from across the pond. What do you think of that? And you could see the vision was starting to expand. All of a sudden, this wasn't just about doing a meeting every month and trying to connect and just trying to pull things together because it's, this person's hanging on by the skin of the teeth, and we're dragging people to these meetings. It became something bigger. It became believe in myself, believe in each other, come together, believe in us. And then what are we going to do collectively, month on month? We're growing towards something. And we came away from last night's meeting really, really energized as to the power of vision, not just as to what it can do down the road, but month to month what it can do and where it can take us down the road as a consequence. So my invitation today is to reflect on your vision with these launch partner meetings that we're having. What are we trying to accomplish and achieve? What are people buying into when they come along to have a listen, to participate, and to engage? I hope they get to see a bigger vision. I'm pleased to say that I had shifted our agenda a little bit onto this subject at the final moment, because when I looked at the agenda before the meeting, when I traveled down and sat down, I thought there's too much product in this meeting. And again, nothing against talking about the products. We had a good message on the product. There was a segment for the product, but that wouldn't have created this vision where the team is going to evolve and become something better and become something tremendous. And they had their whys, which they shared, which was just compelling and really, really moving. Some of them have got just heartwarming stories that would make you want to jump on a plane and come and be with them, to support them and be a part of this vision. So I would encourage each of us to connect with our whys a little deeper and connect those reasons into the meetings a little more, and then create the network that comes from that, so that we all feel a part of each other's purpose, so that we all become a networked bigger cause. I think if we do that, we could see some big shifts in these launch partner meetings. So that's my message for today. Mike, back to you or Bernadette.
Thank you. I'm just going to jump in on this, and then we'll transfer to Bernadette. In keeping with that same theme for the second, we're also going to be hosting an event in Toronto in 2018. The exact date hasn't been fixed, but it is going to be one of the larger events for North America in 2018. We're right now straddling between two dates. We'll know better at the end of next week which of the two dates we're going to go with. So that's going to be one of the staple events in the annual calendar for our going forward agenda. But what Ben was just talking about, launch partners and how to be more involved. Number one, I want to encourage you to invite some new people. You'll notice today we added a new member of the launch partners. They're going through the proper protocol, which is submitting their goals, their launch date events, and how do you do that? Just go to Launch Partners Connection on Facebook and request to be added. Then I submit, I send back the information so that they know what they have to do, how to hook up on WhatsApp, how to hook on our Facebook, just the stuff that you guys all went through, so that we can add some more names to this and grow their businesses, especially those of you who just broke new silvers. Congratulations to all of us, two for me, that you involve them in launch partners as well with their agenda. There is a goal for us to increase the rhythm of the business agenda. And something that they're doing very successfully in Mexico, something that we had done some years ago to implement that rhythm, is the monthly calendar, of course, the monthly event. But to encourage you guys to maybe collaborate and work on this, we want to suggest maybe a mid-month event, maybe the third week of the month, say a Saturday, where we can host a special event. And in that special event, we'll bring you the best there is to offer as far as new information, maybe even some specific training, but it'll be a piece that you can include in your event. So if you're hosting a live mid-month event or month-end event, then you can add this to your agenda, which is in keeping with the images that I just sent you guys, the Power ABC kickoff, that image. We've got one coming up December 9, which is the event that's happening online, where the Hour of Power, same concept, only now on a monthly basis, that you can then choreograph your monthly calendar around that specific event. We'll iron out the details in terms of the timing of the event. Some of you will be starting off with the event. Some of you will be closing your event with this by plugging in based on your time zone. So we're going to work that out. Expect that 2018 every month, an event that you can plug into that will bring you some real firepower in terms of content, so you can have a greater sense of timing, connection to the entire group of launch partners, and we can get that rhythm of monthly events up and going, because everybody's going to want to be a part of this, I'm sure. Let's see, there is social media, just real quick on that. If you haven't done any homework on this, please begin your homework, because also aggressive coming in January, we're going to be utilizing an array of social media information, as well as social media content that we're going to be getting for you, so that you can start actively promoting that event. So for instance, let's say you're hosting an event third week of January, third week of February, third week of March, and you're creating the launch flyer, the launch partners flyer around that, the Active Wellness Tour flyer. Why not use that flyer on your fan page and create an audience of people who may want to, in fact, attend your event? And so we're going to be moving into an agenda that helps you understand how to market to a local audience, leveraging tools that Facebook has already provided for pennies, and I am not kidding you, pennies for an active lead. So how would you like to have your event populated by active leads that found you via that simple promotion that you learned how to do in literally 15 minutes? So please take the time to learn how to do it. Where? Don't ask us. Everything you need to know is already available to you on Google. So ask Google like you would ask me. Ask Google and you'll see the information. Take some time. You guys got to be students of business and students of the future. And right now we're going to be loading up and really arming you with some solid ways to reach out into your local community to populate your events. So please take the time over the next month, over the next couple of weeks. It doesn't really take that much time. Just jump into it. Make it part of your agenda, something that you must do, completed by in the next week or two. An understanding of a fan page, how to promote a fan page, and how to create an active link on that fan page so that when they click the link, they can become registered for the event. You can capture the lead. And by the way, there's already templates of this happening. There's already prototypes of this happening. So please consider that this is going to be an agenda that we're going to be really pressing. So you want to be on the in on this. So Bernadette.
Yes, you know, one thing that I wanted to share is we've just came out of such a wonderful month, lots of excitement, lots of things but, you know, now we have another 2 months to go until the end of the year. And I think, you know, when we talk about the events, to increase the number of local events in order to build up on the excitement that we've created and the result, I think that's so critical. Because sometimes we get so, you know, so engaged into a promotion, into a special month, and then we feel that there's a bit of a down time afterwards. And I think that's something, you know, that I'm working on very diligently with my team, that we do not let that happen. And you know, this time of the year with Thanksgiving coming in the States and the holiday, for so many years myself, for example, with the team, we talk about creating a theme as well. And I've always created around that time of the year is giving the gift of health. You know, and I see people are looking as well of providing more meaningful gifts versus just getting a sweater. It's always nice to get a sweater or something, but more and more people are looking for something different. And I just would like to highlight that as well to all of us, because we can do so much business in the next couple of months and creating new servers and reaching new events. So, you know, and then Mike, when you talk about the Facebook social event, we do promote events. Sometimes it's private groups, sometimes it's public. It depends on what you do. But the social media is so important. I use Facebook as well I have a close group for my team. So then we communicate privately about certain, you know, it's because what we communicate doesn't need to be put out to the public. So that's also, it's a great way to stay connected with people who are non-local. Couple of months ago, I brought on board a lady, Diane, who lives about 2.5 hours from me. And by the way, Mike, she's so excited to meet you when you come in a couple of weeks. And we've been staying connected that way as well, because there's nothing going on where she is, absolutely nothing. So Facebook, it's all about staying connected with that team, but it's also about developing relationship. And one thing that I want to add is we talk about social media and we think that I have a friend now or somebody befriended me, so I'm connected with them. No, it's just a connection on Facebook. Now it's a matter of developing the relationship with them. So I really want to say to people, look at Facebook as a platform to allow you to meet people, but there's still the whole business of developing relationship that is critical. The beauty is now we can reach out to many people around the world. It doesn't limit our business to the face-to-face, really locally. And that's something, you know, think about social media and Facebook as a virtual platform to doing networking, but the networking still needs to happen. And that's something that I really want to mention, because too often I say, well, I invite so many people to my event, they're going to come. Well, how many times have we invited people and they never showed up, right? Well, social media will do the same. It's important to make it more personal.
Fantastic. Thank you for that. Most of the social media that we've seen so far talked about in Ecan and even utilized in Ecan is product oriented. They're just designed to sell products to whoever might be interested in learning more about products. We're going to have, if you like the water flyer that was put out, we're going to have more like that, so that you have content that you can use on any of your social media platforms to promote the brand, promote the concept. And some of them that I've already seen that we're going to get are just stupendous. They're just great images, and a picture is worth 1,000 words. So say less with pictures. So we'll be able to do that. But what we're trying to emphasize right now with respect to your education on the Facebook and Instagram platforms is how to create a link so that people can actually say, I'd like to come to this event. So that way you create traffic to your events. And that's where your focus is going to be. Now imagine, there's and you can specify demographics in these things specifically, age, the geography, how far away from your event center, male, female. I mean, there's a number of things that you can by interest. You can isolate by interest, so you can actually it's just clicks, and you specify who you want to talk to, and then this gets broadcast out to the social media network of Facebook and Instagram, who know all those people in the area that fit that profile. So all of a sudden, your image is showing up. And you're going to see there's going to be people seeing it, and they can click if they're interested in knowing more, and that can lead to either a web page of yours or a downloadable flyer or a lead capture. So this is something you want to become familiar with as we go forward. By the way, I just want to mention one other thing. With respect to what appears to be a difference in the way we're doing business, couple of groups out there, I think it's more to do with an understanding that we're appealing to a different demographic. So it's not that there's two camps per se. I think one relates to a certain demographic more so than the other. And so it's really not about either or. It's about understanding the target audience, which one will apply more to than the other. And we're probably going to see more of this. I'm working with a young guy in Bernadette's organization who's helping me to develop and him to develop an insight into the window, into the mind of the younger generation, the XY generation. So the way they think, what interests them, what words interest them, what images interest them. So you'll see that as we move forward, especially in 2018, we'll start to address the fact that not everybody sees the world the way the baby boomers do. And so our choice of language, the things that attract us to an ad, the things that attract us to a message is different than that next generation. Even though we might be selling a pen, it's how do you sell the pen to the baby boomer, to the XY generation, et cetera. It's just, it's different. And that's what we are starting to become more aware of. And that's why I think you're starting to see a little bit of diversity in our approaches. So with that, any final comments?
Yeah. Can I just add to that and just say, and diversity is a wonderful thing. Yeah. If you see diversity, if you see one set of words over another set of words, fantastic. From my experience as well, having worked in some of the biggest billion-dollar, multi-billion-dollar businesses in our industry, I saw that all the time. In fact, I haven't seen a single organization where everyone had exactly the same choice of words, exactly the same way and style and sense of prose and eloquence that they might choose to express themselves, either visually, either in print, in their tools, or wherever, however it might be. To have such unity in that sense would be remarkable in any organization on the planet. So I think it's good to have some context to that. And like I said with Mike, just to echo what Mike said, diversity is a great thing. It's important that we understand what we are appealing to and appeal to our strengths, work to that, and be good with it. That's absolutely the best way to be.
Fantastic. Thanks.
I'd like to add something to that. I agree with you, because diversity is what makes it really fun and very interesting, frankly. Otherwise, it would be boring. But I think also for each and every one of us, sometimes, we because Nikken is it can appeal to such a broad range of people in terms of age, in terms of profile, and so on, that sometimes our message is too broad. Which means, when it's a broad message, we actually don't reach out to anybody, because some say, well, yeah, I relate to that, but I don't relate to that. And the younger crowd is going to say, yeah, that makes sense, but that doesn't make sense to me. So I think it's important that we understand who is it that each of us want to reach, and really focus as message on that population. Because we are not going to talk to stay-at-home mom the same way we're going to talk to women who are in career in corporate. I can tell you, it's not going to be the same language. So I think it's important is too often is my message is for everybody. I say, well, how is that working? Right? Yeah. And I think it's really important to be a lot more focused on who is it that we want to reach out. Yeah. So my young team, they target on the age group because that's what they know. And they know how they have no real connection with the baby boomers, which is why it's not working for them. So I think let's be clear about that. And that's the beauty of it. But our role is to learn who we want to work with and how to communicate with those groups.
Yeah, and there is an important word which should be going in tandem with the word diversity, and that is with courtesy. Yeah. You will see diversity, and you will see it done with courtesy. And I think that's really important as well, that we recognize that process too. So cool.
Yeah, and in fact, the other sense of demographic is also social economic. I mean, there's blue collar, there's white collar, and they don't see themselves the same way, male, female. So I think your message, Bernadette, is right, and I think that's an important message. If we look at the cross-section of Nikken, particularly in North America and Europe, you'll find that we as baby boomers have migrated into our 40s, our 50s, our 60s, our 70s, but we've left a whole generation behind with respect to the value and the virtue of a relationship with Nikken and these technologies. So, and that's because, well, we just didn't think outside of ourselves, outside of the box. We weren't looking at this as, I don't know, as maybe the CEO of some of the larger corporations out there who have to absolutely be aware that if they expect to have a future, they've got to meet the demands of the generations following. So we're now at that evolutionary point. It's really an evolutionary point for us to recognize that and to address it. So you might find yourself, and this is just an idea thrown out there, a vision for yourself, you might find yourself having a whole organization of X generation. Just that's because that's what happened. You gave birth to it and you just nurtured it, and all of a sudden you got this emerging X generation population. And there might be another organization that you initiated through learning some of the things that are important to them, and all of a sudden you got a Y generation over there, while you still enhance and move in the thing that you may be more comfortable in, and that's the baby boom generation. So think of your business as tentacles into these different areas that you can create outreach programs. Or you might even have within your own organization a women's group. The whole point of this book, I think, the 4-year career for women, they're addressing a very, very real issue, and that is 80% of the population of networkers are women. Maybe we ought to talk to them the way they want to be talked to. So what an idea. So by the way, I kind of like this one. So I'm not sure if we can get the rights or something like that, but that might be a thing to actually start social mediaing and then see if we can create some traction there. Anyway, just some thoughts for you as we continue in our evolution here. Ben, any final words?
Yeah, no, you just reminded me of when I was a training manager. I was doing a training exercise with our trainers. We used to teach visual, auditory, and kinesthetic teaching techniques so that you could get the different types of learners. And I was doing a test on our trainers to see what was their own personal learning style. And what was remarkable to see was we could identify their strengths in one particular area. And when I went into their classrooms to observe them teach, they taught their students the way they preferred to be taught. So if I was naturally a visual learner, my teaching style would be more inclined to be visual. And if I was an auditory learner, then when I was in my classroom, I'd be talking all the time. And so it was really interesting to see that transference, and what we needed to help them learn was just because that's your way of learning doesn't mean that should be your way of teaching, because everyone learns differently. And we need to be mindful of that. And this is really, just exactly what Mike and Bernadette are saying is, we attract people like ourselves a lot, of course, but we should be now getting so much more mindful, especially with social media, of so many more people out there that we could connect with and be much more on their wavelength in a better way, more complementary. Like I said, diversity with courtesy. Reach out and complement those differences, I think would be great.
I'd like to leave you guys with some action steps. So one of the things I mentioned is please take the initiative to learn about fan pages on Facebook so you know how to immediately apply that, number one. Number two, those of you, all launch partners listening to this message, you're launch partner because you host events. That's what made you a launch partner, not because you have a rank, not because you know me or Ben or Bernadette or anyone else. It's because you made a commitment to events. And the original commitment was 3 events, 1 per month. And so we've sort of fallen off the wagon, many where that's concerned. Some of you have done the exact opposite. You've got even more events, even weekly events. So I want to re-encourage you, a recommitment to monthly. And now, you have an event coming up in December 9. Each of you should have a flyer with that event per the instructions that I left, either on Launch Partners Connection Facebook page, which shows you two images. One that says Power ABC and the other one, Hour of Power. The December 9 image is Hour of Power. That's the one you want to use when you submit your launch flyer. So you should have more than enough time to organize an event, whether it's in your living room or it's at any local place. Please, all of you, commit to that. Let's make that December 9 event a real focal point because it helps us spring into 2018. One, two, it helps us understand the importance of how we can collaborate by plugging into one of these super A's. We want to do that on a monthly basis come 2018. So this is kind of our test market for that December 9 event. So I encourage you to plug into that, make that part of your agenda for today or this week if you haven't already made the steps to commit to that. And finally, I guess, listen, we got 2 months left in this year, and let's go out with a bang. So, you know, whatever it is that you set as goals, it ain't over till it's over. So let's make it happen. I know I'm 2 down, 2 to go, and I'm anxious about it. So I hope you guys are picking up some steam, and let's show this group, let's show this team, let's show other collaborators, let's show Nikan, let's show the world we mean business.
Yeah, excellent. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Yeah.